Turning now to other news. In the 2 years since the launch of Boston's food truck initiative, the number of mobile eateries has more than tripled. That success has created new demand for services to support the industry, and it's caught the attention of aspiring restaurateurs. But for all the momentum, some say there's still too much red tape. Hankering for a gourmet grilled cheese? Craving crepes? Boston's flourishing food truck movement means a myriad of new menus to choose from. And it's cooking up new business opportunities around town.
We saw that the real opportunity, or the real need, so to speak, was supporting the industry on the whole. Travis
Talbot is the driving force behind Red Door Trucks in South Boston, the area's first specialty food truck supplier. Red Door opened its doors just this year. In addition to custom building these kitchens on wheels, Travis and his team offer maintenance and consulting services.
The operators in town are entrepreneurs, and they're usually entering the business with limited budgets. They're entering with limited knowledge and just taking a big risk.
One of Red Door's first clients is 27-year-old Jonathan Moy, who plans to quit his finance job and work full-time on Moyzilla, a food truck serving up Japanese fare.
Yakitori, which is basically meat on a stick, and dumplings, which we'll do all homemade.
But before he sells his first dumpling, Moy must navigate the city's complicated permitting maze.
One of the weirder permits that you have to attain is a hawkers and peddlers, which I've never heard of before the food truck process.
That's just one hoop Moy must jump through. Add to that a lottery to determine where he'll be allowed to park. Moy says if food trucks are to thrive in Boston, the rules must be relaxed.
I kind of want them to let the leash go and let it develop into its full potential.
And Moy is not alone. WGBH conducted an informal survey of Boston's food truck operators, and many expressed frustration. One complained about spending way too much time at City Hall. Another said the regulations limit earning potential. Travis Talbot says it will take time to sort it all out.
It's all new. Everything with the food truck industry in Boston, which also makes it kind of enviable, it's still fairly new and evolving.
For Jonathan Moy, that's what makes owning his own food truck so exciting.
I don't see this as a trend. I don't think it's a fad. I don't think it's going away. I think it's going to keep on growing, and I hope the city just kind of embraces it.
It's clear the public already has. And with me now are Edith Murnane, who is Boston's Director of Food Initiatives, and Ron Cerny, who heads the Boston Food Truck Alliance and owns a truck himself. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, let's focus on the positive. This is fantastic. 56 trucks. I mean, they must be doing pretty good.
They seem to be doing well. The Boston community loves them, comes out, supports them, and they're growing.
Are they year-round?
They will be. You know, the seasonality, I think, as years go by, is going to diminish. You know, these guys have notes, they've got employees, they need to work, and it's really the entrepreneurial spirit that's kicking in, and people are creating their own opportunities, whether it's private property or festivals or something. That's what's really great about the Boston food truck scene, is that it's really a group of entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs that will do whatever is necessary to make it work.
Well, Edith, has the city put a cap on the number, or can this grow exponentially?
The city hasn't put a cap, so it could grow. What I think is really interesting right now is that when the city started, we started with 15 public sites, and that started the conversation. But there are others who are coming to the industry and adding to that. So earlier this year, DCR came to the food trucks and said, we have opportunities for you here in Boston as well as throughout the Commonwealth. And there's private industry that has also emerged, asking food trucks.
Yeah, we want one here.
Exactly. Good food.
And other cities are stepping up. Brookline started a program. Malden has a program. Natick is looking at a program. I mean, it's really proliferating. It's really growing.
All right, so now I did get a kick out of some of these regulations, and I'm not going to pick on you, but oh my gosh. Right. So here's what these guys have to go through for the permitting: inspectional services, fire, Commonwealth of Massachusetts. They got to get a food truck license. They got a hawkers and peddlers license. They're objecting to that.
Right.
They got to get insurance. They're required to get GPS.
Right.
I don't know about that. They've got to have waste on board. They've got to have some kind of a business certificate. Then there's also this little thing where the DPW, wants to have a Boston Fire permit, but the Boston Fire permit, they won't give it to them without the stamp for them. But the Boston Fire Department says you have to have it from them first. So there's this little snafu there about who hands the thing first.
Right.
You're aware of that.
So starting a food truck is very much like starting a restaurant. And all of the processes that you would need to go through, for the most part, you need to go through.
So these are the same.
Exactly. These are really commercial kitchens on wheels. And so a lot of the regulations that surround commercial kitchens surround food trucks.
Well, they don't have to do hawkers and peddlers.
No, you're right. They do not. That is actually a state regulation.
We have to remember that 4 years ago, the answer was just no.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they were banned in Boston. When I bought my first truck in L.A., I brought it back to Boston and thought that I was going to pull up in front of, BC and start selling, grilled cheese sandwiches, and that really wasn't the case. They were banned. And so that's when the Boston Food Truck Alliance was formed, so we could become a voice, as an industry to the city and help form these regulations. And actually, Boston has become a model for other cities around the country. I mean, I don't think there's a week that doesn't go by that somebody calls and looks at our model and borrows from it.
All right, so explain some of that, because some of these places are allowed clusters of food trucks, like on the Greenway and that kind of thing, but other places they just allow one. Is that it?
Right. Well, when you're looking at a food truck site, the largest a food truck can be currently in Boston in the public way is 30 feet bumper to bumper, and that's because we need 60 feet for the entire operation, so that there's a buffer in the front and the back, and that's a lot of parking.
Yeah, that's true.
So what we need to balance that with is finding places and spaces where the parking situation is such and the pedestrian.
Or is it a parking lot? I keep telling you. No, but
well,
I understand.
Ron has promised.
I understand because I'm sure some residents and businesses get annoyed that they take 6 parking spaces and they're not really giving up anything for it.
Well, I think that's a new wave, is private property.
Yeah.
That we're going to see more and more private property owners welcome food trucks there. And we really haven't seen the nights kick in yet.
Yeah, what about that? They're not, why not? Why can't they have them at night?
I think
and what about alcohol?
Well, interesting. I just I taught a class at Cambridge School of Culinary Arts on food trucks, and I asked if the attendees what food truck they would launch. And a young girl raised her hand and says, "I want to do a cocktail truck."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, that's a great idea, but I don't think the city's going to go for that one."
But nights? Why not nights?
But nights are just, the consumer behavior just hasn't kicked in yet. The trucks are out there. The 22 locations where food trucks can be at night.
But they pretty much pack up after lunch, right?
A lot of them do.
Yeah, they do in many situations. There's a private site out in Jamaica Plain where on Thursday nights they're part of a larger endeavor, and that's very popular. So that's in a residential area where people are home anyway. They're there in their community. So there is the possibility that those sites and those kinds of sites might start to emerge as long as the programming is there to support it.
By the way, you got to tell us what happened with the showdown with New York City. We had a big showdown.
Oh, that was great.
It's
a entrepreneurial pursuit by Sarah Ross from Kick-Ass Cupcake. She put the whole thing together. And 6 or 7 trucks from New York City and the same from Boston competed on the Greenway for best food truck. And Boston won. A truck called Penny Packers with their porchetta sandwich,
which is a pulled pork kind of thing, or a pork.
It's a slow roasted pork. It's really delicious.
Right. But I think what's even more important than that is that Boston won hands down.
Oh.
So Boston won. What were the various categories? There are 5 or 6 categories.
Well, I don't know.
And New York won Best of New York. but Boston
doesn't
took the
count.
rest.
All right.
Boston took the rest.
Edith
There's some
Murnane.
great food out there.
Ron Cerny. Yeah, well, we're waiting to taste it. Okay, thanks for coming.
We'll bring it by.
All right. If you'd like to see our survey, we talked to all the food truck operators, or to see a tour of Red Door Trucks and their latest project, that's all at WGBHnews.org. And that's it for Greater Boston. Tomorrow on Beat the Press, whistleblower, leaker, hero, or villain. How to describe Edward Snowden and his motives for revealing government secrets. Plus, WCVB and NSTAR make for an awkward partnership. That and more tomorrow at 7 on Beat the Press. I'm Emily Rooney. Thanks for watching.